Welcome to Waiting on the Trade, a comics book club for people who can't keep up with monthly comics. I'm Matt Ledger.
And I'm Patrick Fitzgerald Fleck.
This month, we're talking about the 7th volume of Frieren Beyond Journey's End, a manga series from writer Kanehito Yamada and artist Tsukasa Abe. Now, in case you need a refresher, Frieren Beyond Journey's End follows the titular Frieren in the wake of her adventuring party's defeat of the dreaded Demon King. Mostly, Beyond Journey's End is concerned with the question, what happens next, and looks at the impact that Frieren's party's journey had on both her and the world in which she lives. Yeah, it's just us this week. It's just you and me talking about this book we like because we kind of want to talk about an anime we like. I don't know. We'll see how we go. But I put the question to you of what you wanted to read for this month. And you, after kicking a couple things around, decided to choose this volume of Frieren, which is, importantly, the volume that kind of picks up where the anime leaves off.
Yeah.
We both watched the anime.
You had just recently...
Yeah,
you had just finished not too long ago, right?
Yep, yeah. Kat, my wife, who is also a frequent guest host on the podcast, had just finished watching the anime and both really enjoyed it. So I, being the comics nerd and like process nerd, wanting to see what was like the same or different or like just kind of like tweaked between the adaptation and the show, checked out the first volume of the manga from the library, and I wrote about that a little bit on the blog already, so that's already up and it'll probably be in the show notes for this episode. And I also had already checked out, before you even kind of suggested it, the 7th volume of the manga, because I just wanted to see like, okay, so like kind of what happens next, and like can still kind of compare and contrast the end of the mage test arc also. So was already interested in it, but was kind of curious as to why you picked it.
I mean, Frieren is probably my favorite anime of the past, I don't know, a long while. It's so well done. It's so well done, Matt.
It's really good.
It's so good.
Part of the reason we're here is to compare and contrast. So I feel like we're not actually getting off topic too much if we talk about the anime for a bit at the front. So the anime is great, and like you're an anime boy. Like you're a guy who like I feel like I'm gonna dunk on you a little bit here, but it's from a place of love.
Do it.
An anime does not have to be good for you to like it. Can we...
What is your evidence of that? How dare you?
I watched 2 episodes of Solo Leveling, and that show's not good.
I never said Solo Leveling was good.
Okay, all right, that's fair. Putting words in your mouth. Another one that, and this is not, again, we're gonna get off the dunking on you, but this is more just like these things are not for me, I think, then they're actually not good, but this is a podcast, so we have to have aggressive takes. Watched a couple episodes of the like campfire cooking skill one, like the one where the guy is like transported.
You didn't like that one?
So I didn't like it for a variety of reasons that are maybe not worth going into, but some of it's just like it's so generic, and it's like it's very much based on like, you know, all these tropes, and now here is a thing that's kind of funny. Whereas, and I think this actually does bring us back around to talking about Frieren, because when I initially started watching Frieren with Kat, I was like, oh, this is kind of generic, and like it's doing things that like I don't really like, I'm not super interested in, because nothing's really like super unique about it, until kind of the end of episode 1, when Frieren kind of has her realization that like the journey actually did change her, and maybe she should have spent more time with Himmel, and like what that
Himmel's
sort of means for her.
Burial is where the
Yeah, and so like I think this series to me, both in anime and manga form, does a lot of really interesting things with characterization that sets it above some of the like, especially at the start. I think the world is kind of fleshing out a little bit as we've gone at this point. Like the magic system is actually kind of cool, and has its own intricacies of like how those like how different spells and things are split up between like priests and mages, and there is cool.
Yeah, you know me, world building is very important, and yeah, it's checking the boxes for me.
Yeah, it's definitely getting there in a way that I feel like some of the stuff, even stuff that like wasn't stuff you specifically recommended, like we were just kind of like going through some stuff on Crunchyroll, and I'm just like, I don't get the hook
Of,
in this. Like, I don't get the meat.
of
Like,
all the people to blanketly accuse an entire medium of being not for, you're a comic book aficionado. So if someone were to say, "Oh, I don't like comic books," what would you say to them?
I'd say
I think there are different
there's lots
kinds.
of good ones out there.
Yeah. And you're comparing, okay, Campfire Cooking in Another World with My Absurd Skill is specifically a comedy. It's not, well, Frieren has comedic moments. I would not categorize Frieren Beyond Journey's End as a comedy.
No, definitely not. And so like maybe that's the thing that's just not for me about it, though in the lost episode of Spy Family discussion that we will never release because we lost it.
Yeah.
Like that's a comedy and I really like that. So it's not just that it's a comedy. I think it's partially like the same thing. And again, I didn't get super far into it, so maybe this changes. I just don't
Sure.
obviously like don't have a lot of time for quote unquote TV in the first place at this point, anyways. But like, it kind of had the same thing as Way of the House Husband for me, where I was like, cool, good joke.
Yeah. There's not like an over, like, there's no real motivating force in that anime. Campfire Cooking just, it's comedic situations that happen. It's not so much they have a quest that they're doing. It's just a dude living his life once he's been isekai'd
Yeah,
with the
which
ability
is
to
like,
buy
which
things
is
from a grocery
like
store. You
that's
know?
part of my deal with that in the first place. Is just like the phrase "once he's been isekai'd." I feel like having looked at a couple of those recently, like that,
Oh no,
like
isekais are the best.
like that. But so like I think a lot of them at this point, and this is again like an unqualified opinion, I don't know whether I can even say the words a lot seriously, but the ones that I have looked
Sure.
at recently, we'll go with that, are very
Okay.
much using the like once you've been isekai'd shorthand of it in a way that
Sure.
I feel
Do you
like
not
is
like the
weird
power
to me.
fantasy of it? Does that turn you off? Because majority of isekais is about I am a nerdy guy who doesn't, life is real tough for me. Oh no, I stepped out into the street and got hit by a car. Oh, I wake up with a superpower and I'm now really cool and all
Uh,
these sexy girls like me now. That's
no,
a lot of them.
it's not so much the. I mean, I don't know exactly if it's the power fantasy specifically enough because I'm not sure I even got that like far enough
Sure.
into it for that to matter. The two, again, assuming we can put assuming we can put solo leveling and
Oh,
campfire
solo.
cooking in the
Okay,
same
solo
can.
leveling is like quintessential power fantasy.
Well, like the
It
thing that tripped me up with them, and we're gonna go back to talking about Frieren in 2 seconds because I do have a way to seg this back into this is what I
okay.
like about
I'm here for
Spy
it.
Family and
Yes.
Frieren. But 2 seconds. So like the thing that tripped me up specifically on those two shows was that very much the like it operates in a video game structure exactly. Like that to me was very
Sure.
off-putting of like you're in a world and you've made a stake and this person's like skills have gone up by +2 and it's like what that's not how real like I don't know like quote unquote real worlds work. Like that's not like it's just like it's weird that you're approaching narrative from a video game standpoint and not really doing anything like. And I think solo leveling does actually end up doing stuff in this vein eventually, so I might be off base on that one from what I've heard, but like you're not doing like anything unique with it, you're just doing it. And like that's not super interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, solo leveling does develop more, but at the end of the day, it's look how powerful I am and I can take on whoever I want, which I mean is fun. I enjoyed that for what it is. But yeah, you're not going to get anything from solo leveling beyond, whoa, that was awesome. There's
Yeah,
no
whereas
like
like
depth to it.
Spy Family and especially this Frieren, like I
Yeah,
think
there's
are
heart
we have
to it.
more nuanced. Like when I was writing the first volume review for the blog, the word I wanted to keep coming back to was just like nuance and reflection. Like those were kind of the two
Sure.
words that I think sort of describe this
Yeah.
this series to me, and I dig that. Like that I can get into.
Yeah.
Like Like, I don't even need a real plot as long as the characters are interesting, like doing interesting things, and like also seeing them do them and like why they're doing them is interesting. And like
Yeah.
I think you and I both kind of talked about previously with this book. It doesn't really have a plot. Like it kind of has a plot. There's stuff that's going on, and like there's a larger.
Volume 7 you're talking about?
So like the series as a whole, and then specifically we'll come back to like volume 7 is kind of coming out of a weird spot where the series does have a
Yeah.
plot for a second, and back
Mhm.
to not having a plot in a way that I actually liked, because I was kind of scared that we were gonna have plots all the time for a while.
I agree somewhat.
But like very much at the beginning there is no plot. Then there's kind of the like, oh, we're gonna go find Himmel in heaven, whatever. I forget if there's like a specific name for heaven, but like heaven, which is
There
like
is.
past the Demon King's castle, right?
Yeah, it's like the northernmost island is where the souls of the dead are.
Yeah, and so like from there we kind of have a plot, but like really we're still just like aimlessly wandering and picking up people and like having stuff happen and remembering what happened in the past, and like we're journeying northwards along the way.
Yeah.
Um, there are instances of plot, but like nothing quite as plotty as the Mage Test arc, which is where we're picking up here, right? Like we're picking up at the end of the Mage Test arc, and I
Yes.
think you and I were both very worried that this was going to become like
I
a
was.
weird tournament arc anime after being
Because
like
I was
so.
vibing,
Yeah,
yeah,
go
the
ahead.
vibe of the slow, like wholesome pace that they had set up, and all of a sudden, I've seen what Naruto's Hunin trials, and I've seen it all before. And to be fair, it does play out very similar to all of those, but it still kept like a Frieren. I don't know.
Yeah, like the pacing, and like again, I think the consideration, right? So like
Yeah,
the moment at the end of the like near the end of the first mage trial where like what's the name of the one first
deal.
class mage with the hair?
Oh, sense.
Sense, yeah, is like slowly like revealing that someone's been kind of poking at the barrier the whole time, like
Yeah.
like that
No, no,
that
no. Siri set that barrier up. No one can do anything with that.
like that bit I think was played really well, and like played at a Frieren pace and like level of, if it was like Dragon Ball Z, right? It would be like it's over 9,000, like oh my god, and like it
I mean,
was
that's
played,
basically what happened. Yeah.
but like much more understated. I feel like,
Yeah, sure.
like it's the same type of moment played in a different way that matches this story's level, and I think that held up throughout the second test, and then really came to bear in the third test, which ends up just being Siri interviewing people and barely
Yeah,
even doing that, right? Like, so if we were like a normal tournament arc manga, we would be escalating every time, right? Like everything would be getting
sure.
like more intense, more dire, like people would be falling aside, like everyone would have to be like leveling up their skills the whole time. But we kind of did that in the second one, and then in the third one it's just Siri saying like, "Man, I don't know about you."
Do I vibe with you? Yeah,
I don't know about
yeah,
you. And I really enjoyed that. And I think that like that in addition to the fact that the first two tests were kind of like tournament arc but Frieren, if that makes sense. Like
yeah,
tournament arc but make it Frieren. Um and then right into the third test where it's just Siri basically telling you whether she likes you or not.
yeah,
Uh like put me at ease a bit about like, oh okay, like the book still knows what it is or like what it wants to be doing, and it's still doing the stuff that I enjoy about it.
yeah. I think what really saved it for me is that during the mage tournament, we kept getting flashbacks to Frieren's past with Flum
Yeah.
and all the like how they met, and like that really helped me because that I love that stuff. That's a good shit. And so like, oh, they captured a bird. Oh, they're fighting amongst each other. What bird they're gonna catch? Okay, we're gonna get to which of the candidates you like the most.
Yeah.
Can we agree that the most annoying of them were the two that Frieren was with?
I mean, I even came to like them though, is the
Really?
thing. I
Ooh.
think the fact that we don't focus on a lot of them is fine. Like the fact that some of them don't even really show up for more than a hot
A
second,
scene, yeah.
yeah, is good because there's too many of them otherwise. There's still kind of too many of them, but like, what did Kat call the what's the redhead girl's name? I'm gonna be awful with names right
I'm clicking through Kane.
now. Is that Kane? Okay. So Kat's name for Kane was Hot Shorts Volleyball Girl, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
we,
That
we
fits.
we were not super big fans in the Ledger Prince household, but even those two I think grew on me by the end of it. Like, I don't know. I can get
I
behind
appreciate that
friends
they
just giving each other shit. That's what the whole podcast exists for, right?
in hindsight, I can appreciate them giving like little flashbacks to give backstory to like those two characters, but at the time I was like, are we really wasting time telling me the motivation of these two characters I don't give a shit about? They grew on me a little bit, but I still like I could have done without two girls fighting each other because they can't agree on stuff. How quirky. It
I think
wasn't
it's a
fitting the vibe of Frieren for me.
well, I think that's actually what kind of brings me around on it is that they don't match Frieren's vibe at all. So like seeing
Sure.
that interaction is semi interesting at least, and like seeing them kind of figure out that they have to get serious at some points in there is also interesting. But yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna fault you for not enjoying them,
Yeah.
especially at the
Yeah.
start. Do we want to just do right now which of them is our favorite?
Yeah. You got one? Can you fire it off?
I like Uba.
Do you?
I think
You
she's
and the
weird.
internet. The internet loves Ubo.
Really good. I always
Yeah.
love having the same opinion as the internet,
That's a safe place to be, right?
right? So I can tell you specifically why I like Ubel. I don't think it's probably the reason that the internet likes Ubel, given
Probably
like
not.
her character design and stuff. I'm guessing that's most of it. I
Yeah,
like
they like her
Ubel.
armpits. I'm assuming that's not one of the reasons why you like her.
No, I don't really
Okay.
have any
Okay. Fair
feelings
enough.
about her
All right.
armpit.
Well, we're just gonna make that clear.
I like how like straightforwardly kind of shitty she is, if that makes sense. Like,
Mhm.
um, I like how she's so very curious about how the rest of the mages work, which is part of her thing about like she can't
She has to
give other people's
empathize with
magic
them.
without empathizing, right? Like,
Yeah.
but that leads her to being like trying to figure out everyone else's deal, which is maybe like the writer slash reporter in me of like I like people who are trying to figure out everyone else's deal. Um,
Sure.
and
Also, a little bit of a serial killer, but that's okay.
well, like I really enjoyed the bit where they're doing the rock paper scissors like strategy session to figure out like who should fight who in the second test,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And Sense or Sensei or however you say it, like
Yeah.
is saying that she knows that Ubo would just like fuck her up because of the time that Ubel took the second class mage test, I think, and just like chopped that dude in half.
Yeah. The perfect defense dude who got absolutely eviscerated.
And so like the reason she's able to chop that dude in half is because her magic is just like well all magic is based on like what you can imagine and she's
Yeah.
just able to imagine cutting his like perfect defense cloak in half because she's like oh yeah scissors can cut that like I
You
can
can cut
cut
a
that
cloak. Yeah.
and so she
Yeah.
just does. It does the same thing to all of Sense's hair
Since his
obviously
hair
too,
is like,
right?
you can cut hair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, like, I just really like her, like, weird, matter-of-fact, straightforward way that she, like, thinks about magic. I don't know, she's odd. I enjoy her because she's odd. Kind of
Yeah.
a serial killer, but odd.
A little bit. But, yeah.
It's not because of
Uh,
her armpits, that's for sure.
Good. I'm glad we got that cleared up. I'm glad. I think I like Denkin, I think.
I thought you'd say Denkin.
Good old Denkin. He is the one that gets the most screen time and like backstory and stuff, so that gives him sort of an unfair advantage.
Yeah, I mean, like, who do we get to know? Obviously, Frieren's partners. We get
Yeah,
Ubel and the clone guy, who I also really love, just for
Land.
the
I thought you would
audacity
like
of not
Land.
even doing the test.
Yeah,
The scene in it's in this and the anime where series like, dude, you're still just drinking
how you
tea out
doing?
there in the countryside. Like, you haven't even come here. What the hell, man? And then it's like, but I respect it. You pass. That's probably one of the better interviews of the Siri interviews.
Yeah, that was a good reveal. Also, pretty
Yeah,
crazy that he can control multiple clones from that far away.
yeah.
He's pretty
That's
powerful.
yeah. I mean, like, he's pretty powerful. Ubel's pretty powerful. I'm trying to remember. God, I'm gonna be so awful with their names. The silver
It's all
hair
good.
guy who's like kind of a dick to start out, and then maybe a little bit
Weirble,
less of a
Werble.
dick this time
Yeah.
in this volume. He gets some interesting moments also, and I really hate Richter. I really hate Richter a
Oh,
lot.
you don't like the whiny guy? He's so whiny.
Just like, I'm gonna kill you. It's like, guy, you don't need to do that. It's just a test, my man. Like,
I don't think he would have actually killed them.
I think he would
Just wanted to
have.
show that he was. You think?
Yeah.
But he put Fern's staff back together. He's a good guy.
I mean, like, he's a he contains multitudes, I guess, is where I got on him.
Sure. But yeah, I think Denkin is my choice.
Yeah, and I mean,
And
there's like,
probably Uval is probably the second one, just for uniqueness.
there's no way they're not gonna run into Denkin again relatively soon, right? Like, there's so much. Like, he's also traveling north to go see his wife's grave.
Wife's
Like,
grave.
yeah,
Yeah.
like they'll find each other again in one of the upcoming volumes, I am sure. So you've
Yeah, I'm
got that
interested
to
to
look
see when
forward to.
we get Ubo back and what she's been up to. How many corpses will be piled beside her when they finally find her again?
Yeah, like,
But yeah,
so, oh, it's so weird to just be able to use like whoever's magic, but you have to be able to like empathize with them, and like, what does that even mean? Especially when you're like potentially a weird little sociopath. I don't know.
yeah, I don't know. She got
So odd.
the detainment spell pretty quick from what's his name from Werble,
Yeah,
Weirble.
yeah. So I
But
guess
he's not
that,
a complex guy, so that makes sense.
but I mean, that kind of catches us up to where we're at in volume 7, right? So we pop into
Mhm.
this, and basically Fern's in the middle of her interview with Siri. Um,
Yes, she just admitted to being able to see the fluctuation in series mana.
yeah, and like, Siri makes what is like the very obvious Siri play of A, you're strong, and B, I can take something from Frieren, and offers to let Fern
Yep.
be her apprentice. But Fern has thankfully already been coached to just say, well, not to just say no, but to say whatever she wants to say, because Siri will pass her anyways. I like that Frieren has such a good read on what Siri will do and why throughout this. Like,
Yeah.
because Frieren is kind of obtuse in social situations. Like, that's kind of her deal. But like, I don't know if it's just because she's known Siri on and off for so long at this point. But like, she's kind of got her pegged throughout the volume.
Yeah, I think comparatively, Frieren to everyone else is socially inept, but then Frieren compared to Siri,
Oh yeah,
Siri is
way
socially
better.
inept.
Here's
Like
above.
the growth that Frieren's been able to get in the past, what, like 100 years or so, has completely outclassed any kind of emotional depth that Siri has at all.
Yeah,
So it's fun to see that in this.
yeah. Just outmaneuvering her at a social level, which is like such a not Frieren thing to be able to do. But here
Yeah,
we
calls
are.
her a child multiple times. Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
funny.
I was gonna say, for like the chapters of this that do match up to the anime, how did you feel about them in comparison? Because I think we can do that. We can kind of tackle that part of it first, and then we can tackle the what happens
Yeah.
next part of it after that.
So it's the first three chapters overlap with the anime.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I don't. It's hard to compare, Matt. The anime does such a good job, and you really can't understate the soundtrack
Yeah, the
that the
music
anime
is
has.
S tier. and the colors I feel like are really well done, and like
The extra like scenes that you get, like in this one, where it opens up and Siri is walking away from Fern, and you can't really tell in the manga what she's up to, but in the anime, she's like running her fingers through the flowers, which gives more context to what she's thinking about. I don't know. I may be reading too much into it, but it gives it so much more life to the scene, which manga can't do that. It would be thousands of pages long if it had
yeah,
multiple scenes for that kind of thing. But yeah, I think the manga does a good job. I think it is outclassed by the masterful work they've done to the anime adaptation.
yeah. And I mean, I think I agree, which is rare for me. Like I'm usually a the book is better person, and like I tried to factor in the fact that I watched the anime first because like I feel
Sure.
like that's a big game when you're doing these sorts of comparisons, is just like which one did you see first, and like you're kind of just like predisposed to like that one better, but like the
Yeah.
the things that kind of put it over the top for me are the soundtrack, like you said, the colors. I think the pacing is an interesting comparison to me. So I think you're right that
Mm.
there are scenes that are drawn out more in the anime in a way that works, especially with this story, which is again so considerate and a little bit slow and like drawn out in
Yeah.
that way that works for it. But I don't think the manga is doing a bad job of it. Like I think this is
No.
close. I think this is closer in terms of pacing and translation from, maybe not entirely in translation from manga to anime because the different things are different, but like in terms of pacing, let's say I think this is closer together like on a spectrum than the Spy Family manga to anime are. Like I feel like the Spy
Mm.
Family anime is a little bit weirdly compressed and off in comparison to the manga. Whereas
Okay.
this, I think you can pretty clearly see the line, and then there's stuff that's happening because adaptations are always going to be different. I don't know how you feel about that, but that's my take on it. At least is there are ways that the manga tries to accomplish the same things, um, or like sets the tone for the anime to accomplish those same things. Since the anime is adapting the manga, obviously there's so many of those
Sure.
pages in this that are the kind of montage traveling pages, and I think those are
Yeah.
really important to kind of keeping that journey tone going throughout this.
Yeah.
I don't think anything's wildly off in pacing between the manga and the anime. I do think you're right that the anime gets to do a little bit more slowing down and cutting to different parts of scenes just because it's in motion, so it can do that, as opposed to a comic page where you only get to show one action and camera angle per panel, so you're just a little bit more limited.
Yeah. And I think the voice acting work is also really great for the show, and it gives more depth to the emotional lines and that kind of thing. So I don't know.
Yeah, the translations are fairly close from what I remember. There's a little bit of difference stuff, like um,
Yeah.
Mistress Siri, I don't think is where Fern is at in the anime. I'm not sure she calls Stark Master Stark either, though. Honestly, like those
Yeah.
bits of the translations, I'm not really reading because I'm just listening to her say like Stark Sama or whatever in the anime, and I understand
Yeah.
that. So,
Shark-san. Yeah.
oh right, yeah, yeah, my bad.
We're good.
I'm going to Japan. I gotta figure this stuff out.
You are?
Yeah, in September.
Cool. Yeah, you should figure that out.
Should figure it out. Cat's gonna do it for
Sama
us.
means Lord. I wouldn't call
Yes, no,
someone
that's
Sama.
true because they're also doing the reread of the manga that can't be named, and Sama is used a decent amount in there. But
Yeah. Yep.
um,
Yeah. I love the anime so much. It's hard. The manga would have to have been pretty great to top it. The manga does a great job. It just doesn't compare for me.
yeah, and I think we're on the same page on that this time for sure. Like,
Uh,
there's just bits that aren't gonna quite get there because you can't really compare to like it has a soundtrack that I'm actually listening to on Spotify when I'm not watching this show. So like, what are you gonna do?
See, I'm not even doing that. Oh my god.
It's really good. You just put it on, you can read. Like I put it on while I was reading this one, so it was great.
Oh my gosh.
Would recommend
Perfect.
to listeners. What do you make of Lernan, who is the like
uh,
apprentice of Siri who like tries to challenge
oh,
Frieren
yeah,
to
yeah,
rule
yeah.
in this? Is really weird, right?
Yeah, the fact that he tries to kill Frieren just to get his name in the history books for his master because he knows he's going to die soon. It's a strange choice.
Well,
I do think Frieren was right on the money that, wow, you've got some hangups
you got some
and you should probably
issues.
just talk to each other.
There's other stuff you could do in the world, right? That would
Yeah.
also that would also suffice. Like there's still
I assume he also
there to
knows
be
that
done.
Siri isn't a fan of Frieren, so he probably sees it like, okay,
He
well,
was like, look, Ed, I took care of her too.
it'd be really like she knows that Frieren's really powerful, so if I defeat her, that's cool. But also, she doesn't really like her, so maybe that'll give me some extra points. It is strange.
I think you would ask somewhere in your notes like how I feel about Siri banning Frieren from all like Continental Magic Association
It's so good. I love the
stuff for like a
pettiness.
1,000 years. Yeah,
A
all
thousand
about it.
years.
All about the
It's
pettiness.
so
It's so
great.
fun. Like
I don't want to see your face for 1,000 years.
how
Get out
dare
of
you
here.
come in here and try to take my test? Get out of here and don't come back for 1,000 years, please.
It's so good. And it's not even just like this city, it's all facilities of
Yeah.
this mage. It's like, oh, it's so good.
But at the same time, you got to respect that she still does give Fern the first class mage like
Yeah.
title. So I mean, Siri also not all bad, I guess. But like, I don't understand. Like, I know it's
I
about
don't know. I didn't.
I know it's about mindset more than power, right? But like,
Yeah.
to not give Frieren the title of first class mage is both like completely correct for the characters and
Yeah.
also wild.
Well, I mean, I at first really didn't like Siri as a character. I thought like it was very tropey, like, she knows what's best. She's the one that's going to determine. But the background that they give, and like obviously the one-on-one that we see in this manga, where she admits to remembering her apprentices and like their favorite spells, and doesn't regret taking them on, even though none of them have lived up to the expectations she wants for them. Like,
Yeah.
oh, wait, you do have, there is something there, Siri. Oh my gosh. And the
Yeah,
fact
and I
that
mean,
she's
like,
used the spell from Flom that she like mocked both Flom and Frieren for caring about, but she herself
it's in her
uses it.
room. It's in her
Yeah.
fucking room.
So like, oh, you do love your apprentices. You do miss Flom. You are a good person deep down there. You aren't just a cold, I don't know, archive of spells.
Yeah, which does like, and again, who cares? But beg the question of where did Siri get or find or make all these spells? Like, she still somehow in there has that spell that Fern wants of being able to do
Yeah. Well, I
laundry.
like
Like, if
that's
she
my
doesn't care
question.
that much, why does she have it?
Well, why is that a thing?
Yeah,
I don't know. Like, we don't really know how old Siri is. We don't
yeah,
know how old Frieren is, but Siri is older than Frieren, and Frieren's ancient. So
yeah. And I mean, we don't know how old like magic is either, right?
yeah. So like, she may have created magic. I don't know. She's real old, and she knows a lot of spells, which is really cool. I don't know. Whenever you like start throwing like time and like ancient time into stories, that really like spices it up for me. I don't know. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
No?
I don't know if that specifically gets it. Like, I don't know if that's specifically what I like about it, so much as I like that there's so much history there, and the story clearly is interested in unpacking at least some of that, right? Like,
Yeah.
you were talking about
Yeah.
that cut back to Siri and Frieren talking about the flower spell, and like, I don't think
Yeah.
enough comics do that bit where it's like, here we're cutting back to an earlier scene and actually more happened. Like, the thing that comes to mind there is like House of X and Powers of X from Hickman, right? Hickman and Co.
Yeah,
Where it's like, oh yeah, this scene happened, but like it's not exact. Like you didn't see all of it. There's more, and that changes like the rest of that interaction, right?
recontextualizes a
Yeah,
bunch of stuff. Yeah, and I love that earlier we're given like, oh, with the whole finding the flowers for Himmel's statue to plant the right flowers for
yeah,
him. We go through, oh, okay, this is a spell that's important to Frieren because it was taught by her master. It's also a spell that we find out that Himmel, like, that's what made him love Frieren, basically, is the use of that spell. So there's spell's real important, and all of a sudden
yeah,
it's given even more contextual depth because it's important to Ciri. It's like, oh, this is beautiful. It's just everything meshes together.
yeah. Build and build and build and build until
Yeah.
we're making something that's multi-layered and carrying a lot of narrative weight. This simple little flower spell.
It's like huge. It's like the entire like thesis of Frieren's magic. Like
Yeah,
she collects magic for the joy of these weird little spells, not to accumulate power, which is what
yeah.
Ciri, which
I mean,
is
I was
cool,
thinking
which is
about how
awesome.
like Stark's bit later on in the volume, which we'll get to, where he's like he and gosh, now I'm forgetting uh
Rubble? No.
Stark's master, who was also part of the adventuring
Eisen?
party,
Yeah.
Eisen. Yeah. Um, like I think his conversation with Eisen is like the thesis of the book when Eisen's talking about how every pointless adventure I had with them is a precious memory and I can't forget that
Yeah.
too. Like that's the book. Like that's the book in a nutshell. Like that little bit of conversation. And the flower thing, like you were saying, very clearly plays into that theme too, where we got big blasty spells. We got shields. We got people cutting people in half. We got people making clones. But like the flower spell is kind of the most important
Yeah.
spell in the series. You've made a good case for it. I'm on your side.
It's so beautiful. I love that. Yeah, and the fact that Fern picks a laundry cleaning spell, so good.
I
I
really
love
love it
that.
just for the trolling value it obviously has
Of
on
Siri
Siri.
being pissed. Yes.
Like what do you like you know that like Ubel and Werbel probably both pick. Oh, you know what can Ubel even pick? Like can she use stuff
I
without
don't know.
empathizing? Who
I
knows?
hope they explore that. I don't even know if they're going to bother telling
Oh,
us,
they're
but it would
returning
be
back
cool
to
to
that,
find
yeah.
out.
But
Yeah.
like Werbel just picked like something that will help him fight
Mass
demons in the north,
destruction
right?
spell.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
very very on like quote unquote series bullshit
Yeah, yeah.
where at least in theory she thinks magic it should be used for big important whatever things,
Yeah, it
though
should
she
be a
has
tool.
flowers in her stupid throne room and she won't admit it.
Yeah. But yeah, I love that. And honestly, I mean, if you look at like the technological level of the world, a laundry cleaning spell would be super useful.
Yeah,
I
I mean
honestly think it
she's
would
gonna
like,
use it every day.
and I don't know. I was wondering if like, do these spell? Can you teach these spells? Like, I would assume once a mage knows the spell, they could spread the spell
I was gonna
to
say
anyone else, right?
I don't know how you do the spell if you can't be taught the spell. So like by extension you would think you could teach the spell. So yes.
Like, I mean, you teach that to a couple people in a city. I think that would jump up the societals. I don't know. Civilization would move forward a little bit with that spell, as opposed to another way to kill someone. There's so many of those. Who cares?
Yet another kill spell.
Throw it on the pile. Wait, you can make my clothes smell good?
Heck
Fuck
yeah.
yeah. Prestidigitation, I still think, is one of the most powerful spells in Dungeons and Dragons.
It's
So,
certainly one of the most interesting, right?
yeah. Where are we at?
We're nearing, I think, the end of our discussion of the manga anime overlap
Yeah,
bits. I think we
crossover.
touched on most of it. Again, I think they're at the end of chapter. I think it's 60 is the last volume of the
Yes.
60 is the last volume that overlaps. And to our point, like the end of chapter 60 in the anime is very poignant, and it's still poignant but less poignant in the manga version. Like
Yeah, it's
again,
an
with
interesting.
pacing and music and all that stuff.
Yeah. Why do you think? Do you think it just the numbers worked out that they cut it here? I had a question. So for mangas, obviously these individual chapters, like with Shonen Jump, it was released in magazines and stuff, right? And then it's collected into these volumes and then published. Am I
Yeah, so
correct
this was
about that?
in Shonen Sunday, which I'm not even sure comes out on Sunday. I had looked at this at one point. Let
So
me.
there was a monthly or weekly release for
Yeah, it
this,
definitely is
chapter by chapter. Okay.
serialized.
Okay.
Shonen Sunday is a weekly shonen manga magazine, and I do remember that right now, like Frieren is on a break, as far as I know.
Yes,
So like
unfortunately.
it's
Yeah.
up to like I think volume 13 or something. I'll maybe try to look that up before
Yeah, it's on
throwing
hiatus,
it
and people are
together.
thinking it's because the creator's helping with season 2 of the anime. I'm
Yeah.
hoping they get back there and please finish the story. Don't
Oh,
don't
I
leave it
mean,
hanging.
I'm sure I would be surprised. I don't think that
Yeah,
I mean, in my limited experience, that's not much of a thing where it, like one starts and the other one stops. We're not. I don't think we're Game of Thronesing here, but we'll see.
sure, sure,
I
sure,
hope
sure.
not, at least.
Yeah,
Um,
but there's a weekly magazine that it was published in before it
yeah,
was collected. Okay.
I'm kind of surprised that it's in a shonen magazine. Honestly, like given that shonen is supposed to be like
Mhm.
young men manga, correct? Right? Boys
Sure.
comics.
Well, I mean, yes, that was the general audience for it. I mean, there are like the battle sequences, at least in the anime, are pretty shonen-y. But yeah, I think for the most part, it is more of a slow.
It's got cottagecore
Like,
vibes, man. Like,
yeah, it's a cozy story more than
it
anything.
definitely does not scream like I mean, and like different shonen magazines are different, I'm sure, but like
Sure.
the shonen jump like mantra is like teamwork, effort, victory, right? Like that's not really
Yeah.
what's going on here. Like teamwork arguable,
Yeah.
effort yes, victory like who cares kind of so far.
Sure.
Like and I think that brings us to kind of discussion of whether
It's about
they're
the journey, not the destination, man.
I
I
mean,
think
for
that's
sure,
like,
right? And like, I think
yeah.
one of the things you would put in your notes somewhere is
Uh-huh.
that like talking about like the stages of destruction as like the big bads of the series, and like it feels like we're gonna work
Yeah.
up to our like taking them all out or whatever. But like most of them are already gone at this point, and I don't know that. I'm sure we will catch up with. Is there only one left at this point? Because there's
Well, the heroes of
three
the South killed 3 of them. They
Freeman's party took
defeated
out another
2 of them,
two, and then we got another one earlier in the
and then
series in the present
yeah,
quote. So like there should
what's her
only
name
be
got killed?
one left.
True, but I count 8 demons in that picture, so I don't know what's going on there.
Oh, that's just one of their friends.
Yeah, I was like, is there a sidekick in this image? I don't know. There are one too many demons.
Hang on, now I'm just like gonna go double check that we actually do see Frieren like say the word 8 in here when she's talking about the
It's 7 for
or
sure.
7, right? Yes, the
Yeah.
7 stages of destruction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 7 silhouettes in the panel in this book. So, yes, whoever the 8th person there is, they don't count.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, you don't think that they're going to show up again? Is that what you're saying? You don't think it's a? You don't think they're setting up
I don't think it
antagonists?
matters so much.
I think there's a read. Like, what else is the point of chapter 63? We're down to chapter 63, Hero of the South.
Let me open up my
Like, I
book.
felt like that was the whole meaning of like, why else was that a thing if not to
It's just a nice
reintroduce?
little.
Oh, these sages were a thing.
I mean, I think it's just a nice little side journey and like looking at one of the things that is interesting to me and has come up before in the series is that
Mhm.
people were and kind of still are in a sense not trying to defeat the Demon King, obviously, because the Demon King is quote unquote dead. I don't know whether that's going to actually have stuck or not. I feel like it won't. That's what I think is going to come up at some point potentially, but
That they wasn't actually defeated.
yeah, neither here nor there for the purposes of this discussion, but that's my suspicion is
He's
that that's
Sauroning
coming
it.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
The Hero of the South thing, I feel like, is actually a really interesting way of tackling the fact that there's so many other people and parties that tried to do this thing that Frieren's party did.
Yeah, that was
Um,
interesting that there were other quote unquote heroes.
and like the hero sword chapter where they're like, "Oh yeah,
That's
Himo
amazing.
got the hero sword," and like he did not get the hero sword because,
Yeah,
um, like
he
it's kind of the
failed to
same
pull
narrative thing.
Excalibur out.
Yeah, like it's sort of
Yeah,
the same theme, right? Where it's like there's a bunch of people who are just out here trying their best to kill these demons to make the world a better place. And that story was just like a story about one of them and how like he thought he was going to be forgotten because he also knew the future. And there's still
which is
people
just
who
weird, right? I don't know.
I mean, it is weird to have a guy who can see the future fight a guy that can see the
In the
future.
same chapter where they introduce, oh, and this demon sage could see 1,000 years in the future. I was like, oh wow, that's crazy. Oh, and by the way, the hero of the South, he could secretly
Also
also
see into
see
the
into the future.
future.
Which I'm wondering, like, is that, I don't know. Not every this may not be Chekhov's prescient magic. Maybe it just doesn't come up again. It is weird that both of them have the same magic,
And
right?
then like kill each other essentially. Not really. Like
Because
I think
like
the hero of
demon
the South
magic is
kills.
supposed to be something that humans can't understand. So it is strange that there was a human hero that had similar magic to a demon. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I do kind of hope at some point maybe there's more to that. I don't know how much I expect to get of the seven stages of destruction throughout the rest of the series. Like obviously we got one before, and that was a cool fight.
Yeah, it
That was
was.
neat.
I thought it was great because there was a literal power scale
Yeah, this is
that
really
they
good.
used. It's like, oh,
And you're
it's
just
funny.
waiting the whole time because you just know that like they have
Aura,
they
that's her
have
name.
no
Aura
idea how
Guillotine.
powerful Frieren is, right? Like they're just
Yeah. It's like, you
completely
fool.
underestimating her, and you're just like multiple episodes just like waiting for this scale to backfire the whole time. Like never, I was. I'm sure you weren't either. Like I'm never convinced that Frieren's in any danger in this fight at all.
No, for sure.
Just waiting for the reveal.
The
It was
monologue we're
great.
saying, oh, I've been training for 100 years. It's like, you fool. You fool. So good. Or 500 years. I don't know. It wasn't much.
It was not very long comparatively.
Comparatively, please.
But yeah,
Yeah. So the Hero of the South, I thought, I don't know. It was a weird story that they entered. I think it was cool that we find out that Himmel wasn't the only hero. That was cool. This guy seems crazy strong, having defeated 3 sages compared to the hero party only defeating 2. And they also said he wipes out large portions of the Demon King's army and supply lines.
yep.
It's like, good lord.
I do.
Maybe it's just because he knew it was coming, but damn.
As much as I don't really care about the battles and stuff in this, I do really want to know how the heck Himmel and Friren's party managed to kill this demon king, given how many
Right?
people have like tried over the course of history. But we'll get there if we're supposed to get there. We won't if we
Sure, sure,
won't.
sure.
The one like you had used a phrase in your notes that I thought was really interesting though to apply to this series in particular, which is like filler episode, right?
Yeah.
I feel like there's no such thing as a filler episode in Frieren because it's all filler
I don't know.
episodes. It's filler episodes all the way down, baby.
I really felt like chapter 64, the demon
Oh,
with
Demon
a
with a
sword.
Sorry, that's right. Not the Hero of the South one, the Demon with a
Yeah.
Sword one.
Demon with a sword was definitely a filler episode.
I think it's the closest to, and again, big quotes on this, not mattering of the chapters in this book for sure.
Sure.
I'll give you that.
I felt like the other ones were at least giving background to characters we care about, or like we skipped it over, but chapter 61, the one after the end of the mage exam arc, is introduces the concept of crystals that nullify magic in an area, which up until now magic has been like everything, and
Yeah,
all of a
the
sudden we're
thing that
introduced to a
makes
thing
this
that,
society go.
Frieren, this immortal like omnipotent like wizard. Oh, you put a rock next to her, all of a sudden they can't do anything. That's huge. That has to come back. That's got to be a thing,
Oh
right?
my god, it's kryptonite. I just realized.
Totally is. So like that's introduced. Chapter 62, why I set out on this journey gives more like we find out more about Stark's motivation for why he's doing what he's doing, why he stays with Frieren and Fern. But
Yeah, and that gives us another classic Fern scene of him approaching them at the river and Fern rattling off a U-perv.
a perv, yeah. Poor Stark. Poor Stark. But like Demon with a Sword just felt like, oh, we haven't had a battle scene for a while. Let's throw in
There's
not
barely
even
a
a
battle
single
scene in
page.
that
Yeah,
too.
not even like a single page of like, the demon with a sword hits, flings the sword, boom, and then Frieren flies up in the air and blasts her with a laser. There wasn't anything there. There was like, yes, Himmel also got this sword back from a demon, sure, but there really wasn't anything to it. And man, do they use the phrase "the demon with a sword" over and over and over. Made me
Yeah,
laugh.
I guess if I was gonna fall in your camp on this, what would maybe do it for me is like it doesn't reveal really anything new about any of the characters. Like
There's no like wholesome, oh, him, like this sword was important to the prince or something. It was just like, no, this was a demon sword that was stolen from a demon, and then a demon stole it before, and now they've stolen it again, and we got it back both times.
and like we've already done Himmel does small things earlier in the volume, and like that shed light on not just Himmel, who we've already established that for, but also gosh, I'm never gonna remember any of these people's names. The Werble, I think, is the silver haired guy,
Yeah,
right? Like that also gave us insight into him. So like seeing that they're actually did something new. This doesn't
makes
really
a big.
do much of anything new.
There's nothing to it, so that is why chapter 64, the demon with a sword, is a filler episode.
But Frieren does get a spell to turn a red apple into a green apple, and you know that's going to come up
It's
at some
true.
point.
Oh
Really
man,
important.
I wanted to. I love that on occasion they actually do come back, like that
Oh yeah,
spell to
definitely.
turn grapes sour. It's
Yeah,
like, why would that be a thing? And we find out that Eisen prefers grapes that are sour.
yeah.
So she may have gotten it for. I was like, oh, okay, all right, book. If that apple spell comes back, maybe I'll revisit chapter 64, the demon with a sword. But until then,
So moving us ahead, I think to chapter 65. Another like the the team here is very good at pulling small things forward that they've already established. I really enjoyed how the cover of chapter 65, like the title page, like that panel is rehashed as Frieren's new adventuring party goes to the secret hot spring. There's a page
yes,
or a panel on page
trying to get over that
142
little
where they're
cliff.
getting over that same cliff that the original adventuring party
Yeah,
is getting over with poor drunk hiker.
Heiter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny.
um, yeah, I think just like those callbacks of this series are done really well. And so to your points from earlier, like I wouldn't be surprised if any of the other stuff eventually does pop back up because I think this team is very conscious of using what they've laid down in ways that are
Yeah,
cool. But
quite possible.
I do think that chapter 65 with the secret hot spring is kind of like the thesis of the series all wrapped up in one by the time they get to the end
Yeah,
of that, right? Like it's a little bit lackluster, there's a lot of effort, but like damn the view is good, right? And like you're going to remember soaking your feet in that little tiny hot spring.
yeah,
And so yeah, I think Eisen's Eisen's bit near the end of that is basically describing what this book is about in two panels.
yeah. And I love like they build up to the wholesome, like, oh yeah, it's all worth it in the end because we made good memories. The final panel is them
Undercut
like,
it.
oh no,
But
back is pretty harsh and everything's muddy now. Maybe it wasn't
Fern
worth it
can
at all.
get all their clothes easily though.
Oh, it's true. Oh my gosh, no downsides.
Yeah, like I love that this book is a thing where like this three-headed like dragon, which is like actually a really interesting looking monster, pops up and they're just like, "Oh yeah, we handled that. That's not what this is
Yeah,
about at all."
literally two panels and it's gone. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great. don't even show us like the killing blow. They just move on. Like, oh, they're walking away now.
Kind of hoping they
It's fine.
didn't kill it personally, but I mean that's just me. Apparently they didn't kill it the first time.
Oh, maybe that's true. Maybe he knocked him out with that giant axe. Who's to say?
Yeah, and we kind of talked about it, but this chapter also has the montage page, which one of the panels is the panel of them getting up
Oh, the
that little
traveling.
cliff. I
Yeah.
think that's one of the ways that the manga matches the pacing of the anime is by doing these little like cut scenes where they're like interspersed and show a bunch of stuff that's happening on the journey and like give the impression of how much time is passing and like what they're doing in a really compressed space. So I think those pages pop up a lot in a lot of chapters, I feel like, but they're really important to keeping the tone of the thing even.
Yeah, I agree. Because it is about the little memories you make. It's not about finding the hot spring.
And then from there we are to Stark and Fern go on a date.
Yeah. We sort of skipped over a little bit. Like, it's not a big deal, but there's little tiny scenes of Stark just being a good guy and people liking Stark.
Yeah.
I appreciated that. Like back in the Mage City when they were leaving. In the anime, they make a bigger deal about all the people who like Stark has helped or like befriended, like talking
Yeah.
to him. But in
That
this, there's
he's
like
actually out there
a single
doing
battle of like a crowd has gathered to not say goodbye to Frieren, but to say goodbye to Stark.
Well, because he's been
I
spending
like that.
probably weeks, months there while they're doing all these mage tests, and like he
Yeah,
should find something to do. So I did the recurring bit that I really love of that is the guy that
the old
he's like just
man,
his like weird anime trainer and is really just like got
just a crazy
dementia
guy.
of some kind. Um, he's delightful though. I'm glad that Stark just like basically rolls with it, which shows
Yeah,
the kind of the type of dude Stark is.
and then yeah, the family they run into when they're finding that they're decide to go find this hidden hot spring. You just see in the background Stark just playing with their
Just playing
kids.
with the kids,
It's
yeah.
just like, oh, Stark, just a good guy, just a good guy.
Yeah.
I like that.
Very not in line with typical anime warrior personality.
Loner.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
big muscles, like fearless, blah blah blah. He's very fearful, and that's fine. He can be
Yeah.
fearful as long as they're fearful together.
Yeah. A recurring thing is like, yeah, you can be scared. We can run away if you want. We'll do it together. Don't worry about it. It's the whole Game of Thrones thing. It's like you truly can't be courageous unless you're scared. Like that's what courage is.
Yeah.
Good times, good times. But yeah, we got a date. We got a date coming here in the last couple of chapters.
Yeah, you've set us up for this in that Stark is a good guy, and
Good
I think
guy.
Fern also recognizes that, and so agrees to go on a date with him, even though it's like kind of a weird like dare play that he's like forced himself
Set it
into.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I don't think he intended to actually go. I'm not sure if he intended to actually go on a date there or not, but he sure does end up going on a date.
I don't think you're prepared for how serious Fern took the date.
Yeah, I think when that book dropped to the floor on page
Like, oh shit.
155, that thud and
Yeah.
that like serious downward look, he's like,
Uh,
"Oh no, what have I done?"
is that when he's imagining her like punching him again? Yeah.
Yeah, the like nice little and you see this in the
No.
anime too, like the nice little Fern like gentle
Grumpy
fists or
face.
whatever, like
Yeah.
which again I think is done really well here too. I think both do it well. So
I do like these last two chapters weren't my favorite, but like you can't really complain too much. It's the cutesy fan service of like
I
you
thought it
want to
was really
see.
fun, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. You get to see Stark worry over this hole that he's dug himself. And of course, the only person he can go to talk about for relationship advice is Frieren, like the last person.
But no, so like
Uh,
whose advice is honestly not awful. Like it's not great, we find out, in that Fern was kind of hoping for something more like uniquely Stark to happen on their date, but like
sure.
Frieren doesn't kill him out there, right? Like she doesn't wreck his entire like their entire date. She gets them to a place where at least she knows that Stark and Fern are gonna have a good time, and so I think you gotta at least give her that.
Sure,
At the same time,
for
you're
sure.
absolutely right, though.
If what's his name, if Cian was still with him, I think they would have had a really great time.
Yeah, a
But
much a better time potentially, yes. But we wouldn't have gotten like one of my favorite bits of this whole volume is the start of Frieren and Stark's conversation about like what Stark and Fern should do on this date. Like when they're just sitting at that tavern or cafe or whatever they're in on
yeah,
like roughly page 158. Like,
mm-hmm.
hey, Frieren knows that asking her for advice is dumb. She's like, "Do you know who you're asking for advice?" And he's like, I know. But then Vern's like, hey, no, I got this. I am a lady after all. I know what girls like and want.
Well, she admits, like, "Oh, you're asking me," and he's like, "Yeah, this is an impossible question." It's like,
And
"Who said it was
she's like, no,
impossible?"
I
She
have
takes
this.
offense.
I have
No,
this.
no, no, no.
You.
I am a lady. I know what girls like.
And then you get the wonderful part of the conversation where Stark kind of calls her a grandma, and Fearon's like, you have called me old for a second time. There will
There will
not
not
be
be a
a
third.
third. And he's like, what will happen if there's a third? And this is just wonderful page turn comics. Like you can't
Yes,
replicate this feeling. You turn the page, and the line is, "I will cry and scream." Just like so blunt, straightforward, and wonderful. Like,
and the
and then you get the
flashback.
the
Oh,
inset
to
panel.
him.
Yeah.
Oh, she's been
Um,
crying for 3 days straight. Terrifying.
is that how a lady should behave? Like that whole conversation is gold in a way that I think exemplifies what I love about the character interactions in this series and like of
I,
Frieren herself, which I don't know if we've talked about specifically. I think Frieren herself is a really interesting type of character to do this sort of series with. Like
mm,
I've kind of kicked around this idea actually a few times of like what happens after the big battle, right? Or like what happens after like the chosen one has done the thing they were chosen for and then they have to like live the rest of their life. I think it's not
sure.
a completely like it's not a completely unique idea, right? But I think Frieren specifically as a character is really compelling and interesting, and I think that does a lot of work in this series.
Yeah.
Because she's kind of awkward and like she does know herself, but she kind of doesn't know herself a little bit, and like her interactions with humans are kind of weird, and like she's just I don't know, she's just funny. Like she's fun to follow around. So
I do. Yeah, I love the old hag callback. They've done it like once or twice before
yeah,
this. The fact that Frieren has remembered the offhand comment that Stark said when when he's first fighting that dragon when he was so
yeah, like it's
scared.
been actual years at this point.
It's been years. He's like, I remember. You called me an old hag.
Those small moments, baby, you're never gonna forget.
Oh, so funny.
Yeah,
But yeah,
so
and then we get that touching scene where Frieren admits, I know that she knows what Fern likes, not because she herself has gleaned any of it, but because Heiter, before he died, shared what he knows or knew and learned about Fern.
I think that
And she's
both
like, well,
is accurate and isn't accurate also. Like at this point, Frieren must have picked up some amount of knowledge that is just not
maybe.
having listened to Hyder.
Yeah, I mean, she picked out like the perfect dessert and like the butterfly uh, brooch thing, right? So she's got something going for her.
I think
So,
she's just
and it
being
is
a
cute
little
that,
hard on herself also. But yes, it's quite cute.
yeah, and then start stepping up and saying, no, you're a great parent. You're doing what you can. You remembered the things, and that counts for something.
And thus Frieren decides to roll the old hag count back by one. He I think sets it back to one. So
It's one, yes.
he's got a couple that he can do at this point. Or at least he's got one more free one before the incident will happen.
Before, yes, the terrifying incident, and yeah, it ends with that cute Fern wanting opinions about which dress to wear, and Fearon's like, I don't care.
Friren's line is
Braid my
they're the
hair.
same as every husband. I mean,
They're the same.
they're both fine. Let's go.
Angry braids. Don't braid them, no. Very cute, very cute.
Yeah.
And then the last joke panel of Fern and Frieren on the bed, where Fern is then asking advice about the date, and Frieren thinks, "Oh, I have to deal with this,
I gotta do
this
this
as
one
well,
also.
this
God.
side."
And I feel like the Fern
Exhausting.
side of it is much more difficult than the Stark side of it, probably. Also, like
For sure. Like
Fern,
that's the emotional side of it, right? Like what does it
Fern's got a
mean?
lot
And
going
like,
on.
yeah. And then the final chapter of this volume is the actual date, which again, very cute. I enjoyed a lot of it.
Fern wearing different clothes for I think the first time ever in the manga, except for maybe like when she's like going to bed or bathing. As far as like actually going
Sure.
out and about clothes, I think this is the only time that I can remember that she's
Definitely
in like a
haven't seen her in a floral print before. This is true.
yeah. So it's interesting. Also contrasted with Stark, who just shows up in the same damn
Not wearing
clothes.
anything new. Yeah.
Your outfit
Hopefully clean. Hopefully clean, Stark, right? Come on.
Your outfit is different from usual. How come? He says, and she says, "Well, this is a date, isn't it?" And he's like, "Damn."
And the classic, is Fern always this cute?
She took off her
She,
glasses.
right? Oh my god.
The
Oh
nice
my god.
late '90s, early 2000s rom-com of it all. Yeah, and then they go and they do all of the things that Frieren said they should do.
Which I love includes stopping and admiring the Himmel statue in town.
I mean, they do actually end up talking about it, so
Yeah,
Fern's not about it. They made a bit too many, in her opinion.
because they have to clean too many of them. She's tired of it.
I mean, that is fair, honestly. There are a lot of statues in this world of, honestly, a lot of different people, it seems like.
I mean, if Frieren had the bronze statue cleaning spell before they made them, she really should have asked if they could make more of them of bronze. Just, plan for the future.
That one she's probably not giving out in towns, right? Because she needs to be able to come back and make money. Like, that's the whole scheme, I think.
That's right. She needs those grimoires. Yeah, she needs those spells.
We need statues of you everywhere because I'm going to live for thousands and thousands of years, and I need an easy way to make money, please.
Make them bronze. Make them bronze.
Make them all bronze.
They're going to rust over. It'll make so much money. Long con Frieren. That's what it is.
So yeah, they get to the spot that has the nice view of the city, and Fern ends up eventually saying that she's kind of disappointed in the date on account of she likes all the spots they went, but they didn't feel like things that Stark would want to do on a date. Yeah.
What do you think Stark would have wanted to do on a date?
I mean,
what do you think she was imagining?
Who knows what she was imagining, right? Like that's different than what you would actually want to do, I feel like potentially, but I don't know. I like what do we know about Stark? What is he like other than being a cool dude?
Yeah, I mean, helping townfolk. I'm thinking like, is there like horseback riding? I could see him doing that maybe.
Does he play
Yeah,
cards with what's his face?
He gambles and loses, yes.
Yeah,
For
so
sure.
he likes gambling. That would be a fun date.
Yeah, I'm sure
Fern
Fern
would love that. Very
I honestly don't know what
Fern.
like going out and eating. I think he would like. He liked that Sunday from that one town, and he was disappointed by how small it had gotten. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It would be different, but Fern knew these weren't his choices.
I'm kind of interested.
Maybe it was because it was too accurate to what she liked. Maybe that's why she's like, "Oh, this isn't. You wouldn't know I like this."
I mean, I want there's a difference between being given what you quote unquote want and being surprised, right? And I feel like she was hoping for a surprise, like a nice surprise, and instead she got like what she wanted.
Sure.
So maybe
she's also not learning anything new about Stark.
Yeah,
right?
it's all stuff she would like. It's not stuff he would like or they would like, theoretically. So, I mean, but they do get to have a nice chat up there on the patio, I guess I would call it. And they get to kind of connect over their, I don't know, their shared history. So I think the date is overall a success. I'll be interested to see if and how there's a second date. Like, if there's a second date, will Stark pick what quote unquote he wants? Will he make Fern pick what she thinks he wants? Which would be really funny.
Yeah, and I think we knew already that Eisen was influenced by Himmel to take care of Stark. I think that was at least in the anime. I think they already said that. And we knew about Hydra already.
was gonna say I'm not surprised
So
about it for sure.
yeah. So it was just a nice another reminder of like they're here because of the good deeds of Himmel. Like Himmel helping out the common folk is why Eisen and Hydra felt the need to reach out to these kids. And that's
Yeah, and
great.
like why these kids are even here. There was a bit in
Yeah.
this that like Fern talks about being a war orphan, and there was something I think earlier in the volume, I
Yeah.
can't remember what, where she was like saying this is the worst that's happened to me or whatever. Like, and it's like, is it the worst thing that's
Yeah.
happened to you? You've been a war orphan, so not like
Yeah.
not sure
Yeah.
how clear we are on her past at this point, but
I assume the war is with the demons, that we don't really know exactly. We see the war torn like village when Hyder finds her, but I assume that's the war.
yeah, I mean probably very similar to what happened with Stark, right?
Ark's village, yeah.
I'm trying to page back and figure out where Fern said the line about like her this being the roughest she's had or something, but I
Oh,
cannot find it, so we will not force it. But it's interesting that
yeah.
they kind of have this shared background to connect over.
Well, she was so young too, so maybe it's just like trauma
Doesn't even
more so than
remember.
like
Also,
specifically
yeah,
remembering how bad it is.
yeah,
Yeah. But yeah, it is interesting that both of them have similar traumatic beginnings. So they do work as a couple. They do have something to bond over.
yeah,
And then we get a different kind of braids at the end.
yeah. And Fern's smiling, so again, I won't be
Yeah,
surprised to see
all worked
a
out.
second date. I was just laughing at the joke panel at the end of that chapter where Stark has no idea how to tell the difference between good mood braids and bad mood braids.
Classic Stark.
Yeah, I guess my question at this point would be like we kind of talked about the pros and cons, the like which one do we quote unquote like better or think is more successful. But if it's like still 2 years or whatever until season 2 of the anime is coming out, right? I hope it's not that long. But
Sure.
let's say like somehow the anime goes Winds of Winter on us and is just like stuck out there. Do you think you
Yeah.
would push ahead in the manga, or do you think you
I
will?
have already read the next volume, so
He's
yes.
doing it. Yeah, I think I'm going to too. I haven't yet because I've been in the middle of a bunch of other comics reading stuff for a bunch of other different things, but I think I will be checking Volume 8 out from the library because I just want to see what happens. Um, and I do like, I was looking at some of the stuff on Wikipedia, and I know a little bit of what happens later on, and I'm
Hmm.
suspicious of whether it will go. Like, I'm suspicious of the specific plot that is happening in later volumes because it's a type of plot that I feel like could get. It has the
Sure.
potential to get weird and maybe not good fast, but I am heartened by the
Okay.
fact that we did a tournament arc and we survived and it
It
was
wasn't
good.
bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um, I won't spoil that here. I'll probably tell you after we get off the recording, Pat, because I
Sure.
want to talk about it, but I don't want to. I don't want to put it in the podcast. So I'm
Okay.
I'm suspicious of later volumes, but like optimistically
Mm,
suspicious if that makes sense. And I think it's still a few volumes till the thing I'm suspicious of actually happens. So I will definitely be
yeah.
pushing ahead for a bit at the very least.
I haven't run into anything alarming in volume 8, so
Nice. Is it still, I guess, like don't spoil anything, but is it still kind of like episodic at that point, or is it um, does it start having a quote unquote plot again in volume 8?
there is a slight plot in volume 8.
Okay. All right. See how we go. Because I kind of enjoyed coming back out and not having a plot at the end of volume
Yeah,
7. I was like, oh, okay, cool, we're back to this. And like, I was very scared that we were gonna go. I don't mind if there is a plot and then there's a plot again later, but if we
sure.
go from plot to plot, I don't know how I'm gonna feel about
It's too
that.
much.
Yeah,
Too much
like
plot.
so again, like this is me being in the middle of my Rurouni Kenshin reread, but like that book
Yeah.
goes from not really having a plot to kind of having a plot to having a very focused, big, long-term like
Some
story.
baddie from his past shows up, right? And he has to deal with that.
So yeah, one of the people from his past shows up, and then they end up going to Kyoto to face down this guy, and that's a whole big arc, like the Kyoto arc. And
Sure.
like right
Hmm.
after that, the next big arc starts. There's no
Yeah.
downtime. And so that's what I was like I was very much hoping that that would not be the case here, where we're like, okay, we did a big story and we wrapped it up, and next big story. It's like, no, because like what I like about this book is that it does not have big story all the time, at least. Like
Yeah.
it has little story, and little story is good.
I agree. And I think I don't know. I enjoyed this new chapter, a new sequence of, as you say, light plot. I do think, and it may just because it was hitting the bigger stuff to establish things. The first round of little episodic, wholesome stuff hit better for me. And I think it's because they were like the flashbacks to like Himmel's party or the flashbacks to Frieren and her master were so like emotionally deep and resonated so much. I don't think there was as much in this section. There was a little bit. I liked the secret hot springs, but that was basically it, right? For like the wholesome, we're doing this for the memories and friends along the way kind of stuff, right?
I think each chapter ends up with one. Whether they hit or not is a different story. Like again, I agree with you that Demon with a Sword is probably the quote unquote worst one, like because it doesn't
Sure.
really do anything new. Whereas I think at least like the Magic Nullifying Crystal one has the Runaway Together stuff. I liked
Yep.
that. Um, 62 is the like Stark talking about
Stark.
why he came on the journey, and I liked that. Hero of the
Yep.
South, I actually really dug. I thought it was kind of cool.
Really
So like that one I think
interesting.
is actually a good one for me. Um,
Okay.
Secret Hot Spring is the thesis of the book, so you can't really go you can't really go like you can't really get too much better than that as far as like
Sure.
at least expressing what the book is about. And then the date is interesting to me because it's much more until chapter 67, which does have the flashback to Aizen. Um, it's
Yeah.
very much more present day focused in a way that is
Hmm.
interesting also. So I think almost every chapter has at least one flashback still. Technically, if you count the weird little inset panel of Frieren crying, 66 has one too. But I will give you
Damn,
that
you
that's
got
a
me.
stretch.
Yeah, I don't think it was bad. I think the bar that was set with the early fear and stuff was
It's
so
high, yeah.
high. Yeah, so I'm confident that they can reach it again. I just think that yeah, it didn't quite reach those heights for me.
Yeah. And
Not that it was bad.
maybe you'll change your mind when it's the anime instead.
I'm not gonna lie, there are a few sequences like, oh, I can't wait to watch this with the soothing soundtrack in the background. It's gonna be so good.
Yeah, I don't know. I find that really cool that both of us, even though we like the anime quote unquote more, I don't know how many times I say quote unquote in here, but here we are. Um,
The demon with a sword.
the
Many
demon with the
times, I
quote
think.
unquote sword. Um,
Quote unquote.
the like I find it cool that even though we both like the anime more, we're invested enough in the world and the manga is still good enough that we are willing to push forward in the manga because I think that
Yeah.
there are different versions of stories where like that wouldn't be true from like one form of it, like one form to another. So I think it's neat that they both at least are comparable if we even if we think one is better.
Sure. Shall we move on to recommendations?
I didn't think of one. Oh no.
What, Matthew? It's all right. I have like 4 or 5.
I was gonna say I might just let you do them all because I think we're in your arena at this point. So
Haha! You are in my house. Yeah. So if you like this and you want more anime that has similar feels, I would recommend. Now the manga of this is also really popular. Witch Hat Atelier actually doesn't have an anime out. What am I talking about? It will soon.
it's got
Not
trailers,
out yet.
right? I
Yeah,
just bought volume 6 of that. It's good.
it's really good. Young witch learning her powers. There's some evil witches out there who are up to no good. Good feels, beautiful art. Can't wait to see what they do with the animation. It's probably going to be gorgeous.
See, I was thinking about that one in contrast to this actually because I had just bought volume 6 around the same time I got
There's more
from
quote
the library.
unquote plot
Yes, that's
to
what I was
Witch
gonna
Hat.
say.
Yeah.
There's much more plot. And you were talking about world building in this, and I would say the world building in this does not feel super deep to me. I like that the layers are coming and they're coming slowly and they build upon each other really well.
Yes,
I
I like the
don't
slow hinting at things.
I don't mind that. I like it. But I would say in terms of world building, Witch Hat's got way more.
I'm a sucker for magic systems that are explained.
Yeah.
And Witch Hat has that.
Yeah.
It's real good. So recommend that. Other actual animated things, Evergarden. Violet Evergarden. I would recommend that. It's a short series. It's about a young woman who was a war soldier and has a bunch of trauma. I think does she not have arms? She has prosthetic hands for sure. And she's going from being a soldier to a job where she writes letters for people. And if you want a good cry, Matthew,
How does
single
that work?
she's got prosthetic robot hands. It's not fully, if you're looking for reasons why the magic hands work, don't worry about it. That's not the important part of Violet Evergarden. It's the soul-wrenching, sad stories they tell. Oh my gosh, Matt, if you want a good cry, throw on Violet Evergarden. Beautiful animation. Yeah, check it out. It's great. If you want more, I think Western animation, I think Avatar The Last Airbender has similar feels to Frieren.
Yeah, I would say so. Like pacing is similar.
It's a group of
time you actually spend with the characters is similar.
Yeah, and they have little side quests that don't do much else than just build the bond between the characters. It's great. Check it out. And then throw in a book, because, reading actual books is also important. I would recommend Ursula Le Guin's The A Wizard of Earthsea series. Also has similar feels, especially with like magic systems being explained and stuff. And it focuses on characters, which I appreciate. Have you ever read Wizard of Earthsea, Matt?
I've read the first one. I haven't read past the first one. I probably should. I remember liking the first one.
Yeah. There are more magical stories than Harry Potter out there, so please look them up. There's so many good things out there. Yeah, A Wizard of Earthsea. If you want an actual book that has similar feels to Frieren, check it out.
I think we're just going to let your recommendations stand. And I'm not going to add anything because I enjoy most of those things also. So that seems fine.
Got the matte stamp of approval.
Boop. That's what this stamp makes as a sound. Just a boop.
Like a boop.
The weird stamp.
There you go.
And that will, fortunately for you listeners, do it for this month's discussion of Frieren Beyond Journey's End. As always, if you want to get in touch with Pat or myself, you can email us at waitingonthetrade@gmail.com. You can also find more comics-related goodness at mattreadscomics.com. Pat, this was a nice little discussion. I wasn't sure, just because I had just written something for the blog, if I wanted to talk about this on the podcast. And I was like, no, we've got a lot to say about it, I bet still. And we did not disappoint. So this was fun. I enjoyed chatting about this with you. And I feel like we don't get into a lot of adaptation talk because we just don't. And so even just coming at it from that angle is interesting.
Yeah. I'll keep bringing up animes. Don't worry, they won't change.
I have no doubt.